liked.
Yeah, but if I remember right, you really liked the artwork on the Seven Mary.
That was one where the opposite.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, that's cool artwork, and this band seems cool, so I'll listen to it. It's, I mean, out of a stack of CDs, you never know what's going to get the dude's attention or the girl's attention that you're trying to get your music in front of.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I wanted to ask you more specifically about Seven Mary 3, and I mean, an Orlando band, you know, that you discovered. And tell me a little bit about that story. Now, were they out at some of these? You were doing shows in town, at Hard Rock.
I never. The funny thing about both Collective Soul and Seven Mary 3 is I never saw them live before I played their song. It never occurred to me that I was just like, this sounds like a hit song, I should just play it. And so it wasn't until after the fact that we started playing it. And I went and saw Seven Mary 3 at a little show that and I thankfully they were really good and they had a cool image. And I was like, ooh, thank God they're cool, you know, maybe this band will get signed.
And what was the quality of that demo of the Seven Mary 3 music? It was
pretty bad.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying that as well.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
And so but yet, I mean, you were able to hear something. This is something that I just find fascinating. I could talk to people about all the time. You can tell pretty much right away if a song is going to be a hit. You were telling me, and I wanted you to sort of elaborate that on that, because obviously you've got things that come to you in sort of various forms of quality, but you can still pick something out.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and I still do it. I'm a consultant. I'm a music consultant for another company in town called Promo Only, and briefly, I've been programming their modern rock CD that they send out to radio all over the country every month. And so my mind is constantly in the alternative rock chart. I'm constantly listening to all the major label stuff that comes out, all of the independent stuff that comes out. So I'm kind of tuned in to it all, and that's my full-time job. I don't make music. I suck at guitar. I suck at everything I've tried to play.
But how are you a guitar hero?
I could do that. But, and so I'm kind of tuned into the whole alternative rock thing. And again, I forgot the question.
Well, I wanted to know what you're listening for when you hear a song.
Oh, right. Great voice, singing a great song. In the case of real-world examples, not to blather on about my artists or anything, but Shinedown, I signed a few bands before Shinedown that did not, you know, doing A&R, most of the time you're wrong. Just statistically, you will be wrong. You've got to be able to swing and miss a few times before you hit. And luckily, I found this kid, Brent Smith, who was singing in a different band from Shinedown in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was that voice that was very Chris Cornell-esque without being a direct ripoff of Chris Cornell. And I know that kind of voice singing the right kind of song sells records, still. And so when I found him in that band, I just knew I had to track him down, so I tracked him down and went and saw him, and he was in a band that actually was not very good, but his voice was freaking amazing, and I became obsessed with it. And long story short, I ended up signing Brent to a solo deal. He broke up with his band. He realized that really wasn't going to take him anywhere. And he broke up with his band. He called me up and said, I want you to know I broke up with my band. So I signed him to a solo deal and proceeded to send him on a songwriting tour around the country with the best songwriters I could find, because he doesn't really play guitar that well. He writes his own songs, but he needs somebody sitting across from him that can say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And start playing riffs that hit him, and then he starts constructing his lyrics, and it's a beautiful thing. And he's just very fertile. So we put him on the songwriting tour. The songs started to come, and then we needed to find him a band. And I wanted it to be an organic thing. I didn't want to go to LA and find some, you know, dudes to plug in. I wanted to go into a scene and find guys that were like-minded, that wanted to be in a band that was sort of this post-grunge, metal-informed, hard rock, mainstream radio rock band. And so I hooked up with Pete Thornton, who was a producer in Jacksonville at the time, and Pete and I have become great friends since then. But I knew Pete was plugged into the Jacksonville scene, which is where everybody from Limp Bizkit to Cold, and the great heritage of like Leonard Skinner and all these bands that North Florida thing, I wanted to find guys like that. So I went up, started networking with Pete. We started making demos with Pete, trying out different musicians, and that's how we formed Shinedown.